Yeah, so if somebody is treated or diagnosed with PCOD, so how do you come as a role and like help in counseling them, or why should a PCOD women should come to you? Or maybe like on different field, like
Yeah. So most of the PCOD patients or PCOS patients are treated by um, gynecologists and psychiatrists together. We have PCOS clinic that we treat a lot of women, where me and Dr. Pujita, who is a consultant gynecologist. Why we need both of these doctors is that, first of all, a brief understanding of PCOS, right? Here, there are multiple cysts in your ovary. These cysts are not just structural deficits, they're also functionally problematic because they secrete a lot of androgens. Androgens are male sex hormones. See, just know that women have normally also a little bit of male hormones, and men also have a little bit of female hormones, which is normal. That is by default. But when these androgens or male sex hormones are produced in excess, women tend to lose that femininity in terms of they don't get periods regularly. Their body distribution of the hair becomes very masculine. They'll develop a lot of facial hair, like what you see in men. They'll develop a lot of acne. Um, these are all physical manifestations. Along with this, in PCOD, you have insulin resistance. That means even though insulin is present in your body, the cells are not taking up this hormone. Insulin normally controls your blood sugar levels. When I'm not taking insulin into my cell, my blood sugar levels won't be controlled. They'll be always spiked. Because of this, the cortisol, which is another hormone, that also undergoes dysfunction. Cortisol is primarily a stress hormone. Whenever there is dysfunction of cortisol, the entire pituitary tract will get disrupted, which leads to depression, clinical depression. I'm not talking about I'm feeling sad once in a while, not that. Clinical depression, which can even range till severe suicidal intent also. Anxiety will be there, body image issues will be there. If none of these are there, at least you will have low self-esteem, low self-confidence, because at the end of the day, physical beauty is something very major in our society. If you're having facial hair, or if you're developing a lot of crops of acne, this does take a toll on one's image, how they look at themselves. So all this can push person into clinical depression. In fact, the studies have shown that 28% to 50% of the women with PCOS develop clinical depression. When I say 50%, that is one out of every two women with PCOS, which is quite high. That is why neuropsychiatrist comes into play in a very big role while treating PCOS patients.
okay. Doctor, so whenever a PCOD or PCOS woman comes to me, she's very even scared to go to a gynecologist. So how do I know and how do I judge that she needs a psychiatrist?
Yeah. Um, First of all, normalizing is important. Explaining them the nature of the illness and how it affects. For example, just now how I explained it to you, it sounds very medical to you. That makes you understand that even for you as a nutritionist, right now you could have thought that why do I send this my patient to a doctor? Why can't I just send them to a counselor or a psychologist who will just counsel them to be stress free? But when I'm talking about neurotransmitter dysfunction, hormonal imbalance, that won't be dealt with help of counseling. You'll have to see medically, because we run through a panel of tests. We run through testosterone levels. We run through sex hormone globulin, binding globulin levels, and even thyroid dysfunction can be there in these women. These women can develop obviously diabetes mellitus because of insulin resistance. They can develop hypertension. They are more prone for because the blood in these women tends to be a little thicker than non-PCOS women. These people can develop cardiac arrests and strokes also when they're untreated. So just doing lifestyle management or good exercise and good diet and counseling is not going to be enough. I mean, they all are very, very important, but definitely they will have to go through a panel of doctors. A endocrinologist, a gynecologist, and a psychiatrist is absolute must to evaluate, because it's better to be safe than sorry. Diagnosing in the early stages is better than just letting them get worse and then coming to us.
So, doctor, you just said that what like दो में से एक women को they have like clinical depression or they have anxiety panic attacks. So I like strongly believe in that. So any women who actually, it's not like one in two women, it's like every woman with PCOD starting with the age of 18, they have this problem.
Yeah.
And how much we talk to them or how do we counsel them, and slowly and gradually we do realize that they have these problem. So how do I as a dietitian, so probably you know that they're little apprehensive coming to you when we say a doctor, but they are more comfortable talking to us because they kind of feel that we are friends for them. So how do you me like how do you want me as a dietitian counsel them or push to you? Like how do I do that? Like we read like lot of positive affirmations on internet, so do they actually help?
Positive affirmations definitely help, right? I mean, it helps them, PCOS or not PCOS, it helps a woman to be stress free and feel better because even without PCOS, women tend to have a lot of mood swings because of the hormonal disturbances that happens every month. Especially, it could be just a regular stress in life that takes a toll on their body. Secondly, to that, brain gets affected. Now, PCOS women, um, again, how do you counsel them? I think your counseling should include education, explaining them the facts, helping them accept the condition because it could be a little longer condition than, it's not just a 1 week condition or 1 month condition. It can keep coming to them, and these people can have infertility also. So even after, after marriage, even now, a lot of us doctors, when we're looking for matches, we always make sure there's PCOS or not, because there's a very good chance of infertility, especially if this woman's lifestyle is not very healthy in terms of having food rich in carbohydrates, or alcohol, smoking, all this takes a double toll on fetus health also. So they undergo a lot of spontaneous abortions. That is because a lot of women don't know the depth of the PCOS. So you have to definitely educate them, let them accept the condition, and help them prepare for what are the necessary lifestyle changes they need to do, not just diet, in terms of exercise, abstaining from substance use, alcohol, smoking, or whatever. Regular health checkups, we'll also have to look at the family history of PCOS or thyroid condition or any prolactin, disorders, etc. So I think all these components you'll have to do, and once you talk the medical facts, I think they will come to doctor. I don't think so they're as apprehensive, but again, I mean, you and me are seeing completely different group of patients. Maybe, I mean, a lot of us, they do come. At least like to the place that I'm working at, I mean, a lot of them do come. So educate them. Whatever I'm telling you, the facts are there. Explain them in terms of a flow chart. Draw how there are hormones and there are brain chemicals and how these are interrelated. One deficit can cause another deficit. When you explain them and ask them to get evaluation done, see, at the end of the day, what's the worst that will happen? They'll come to us and we'll see everything and we'll say, you're fine. Just go back to your nutritionist and a psychologist and keep doing what you're doing. That is reinforcing for them, right? To listen to that, they're fine. So at least for that feeling, maybe they should come to doctors.
So, doctor, you talked about the deficits. So we talked about thyroid, insulin resistance, and like lot of like up the layer markers. What about like sleep problems or stress management or mood swings? So they have like plenty of mood swing. One time they're saying this, second day they've totally reversed their answers. So what about the sleeps and the stress and mood swings?
I personally believe sleep is one of the main indicator for someone to get worse or someone to get better. Um, I don't think so. PCOS as such will cause sleep problems. Generally, having a bad lifestyle, which most of us have, probably you have and I have, most of us don't stick to our bed timings, and we keep confusing our brain all through the day and all through the night. So I think explain them that sleep is an important indicator for their recovery in terms of mental health and physical health also. Even sleep is related to their insulin resistance. Sleep is related to their blood sugar control. Because as a nutritionist, you know too, just diet is not enough. They'll also have to get good rest. So sleep won't go down because of PCOS, but just you not sleeping well can worsen PCOS. So I think we'll have to teach them some sleep hygiene techniques.
Okay.
Where do you want to know the sleep hygiene techniques? I can give them.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. These are few simple things that that should help at least 50% of the people that come to you. Rest of them might need medications. First is maintain a bed timing. Even if you're sleeping late, it's okay. If you're sleeping at 12 o'clock, 11 o'clock, it is okay because no one can be ideal. So make sure they're sleeping at 12 every night. Don't be erratic with your sleep wake schedule. That is one thing. Second thing is, this is extremely difficult, I believe. Do not watch screen at least 1 or 2 hours before you go to bed. The blue light that comes out of the screen reduces your melatonin secretion in the brain, which will not help you maintain your sleep smooth. So tell them the importance of the blue light that comes out from the screen. On Amazon, a lot of people are buying these blue light blocking glasses. None of them will help. They might definitely help a little bit, but they will not help to another extent. The easier thing is to avoid screens. Put the charging port away from your bed. Charge your phone away and just put the alarm. Use the regular alarm, like the hand clock. You can use that instead. Me as a doctor, I can't keep my phone away because there'll be emergency calls. But if you think it's not an occupational hazard for you, just keep it away. Very important. Instead, read a book. Also, eating food. I don't know if you agree with me or not. You need at least 3 hours before you go to bed. You need to eat 3 hours before, so the nutrition reaches the brain. So it helps in sleeping well. However, if you're feeling hungry, you can have like a small snack before you go to bed. Even exercise is very important. PCOS and for sleep. Exercise should be done preferably in the morning, not before bedtime, because exercise releases endorphins, and endorphins are stimulating hormones. They keep you up and they keep you active. You don't want to be active. You want to actually wind down and go to sleep. So there are a few things, and one more thing is, you do not use bed for sleep, or unless it's for sleep or sex. Don't lounge on the bed. We all have this nasty habit. We just lie down on the bed, roll over, and we just keep looking at our phones. So basically, undo everything that you're doing. You'll be able to sleep better.
So I completely agree with the nutrients part. So we like a lot of people say that drinking milk before sleeping, so it really helps with the serotonin level. So I guess we can all agree upon. So the last question from my side is, so there is like in the age of 18, 19, and the women who have recently been diagnosed and started having facial hair or started having abdominal fat, so they have a lot of image issues and distorted body images. So how do you tackle them?
First of all, with or without PCOS, people have this unrealistic expectation of how a beautiful person should look like. They should look filtered like an Instagram post. So I think we should definitely educate all the teenage women and men also, how to not have that ideal concept of how beauty is. We have to let people accept themselves. So that this requires a lot of counseling and a lot of self-help groups. Sometimes we don't have to do anything. They can only help themselves. Body positivity posts, and I create a lot of body positivity posts. If multiple people do this, when you open Instagram, maybe if you're seeing different women in different shapes and sizes, that are looking amazing, I think the teenagers will have a good lesson to learn rather than all Instagram models where they're seeing and thinking, oh, this is how one should be. These are the people who get society approval. People are liking them, people are commenting them, following them. We have to change the unrealistic expectations. Also, I don't know if it's possible in India or not, but you should have a self-help group, like an alcoholic anonymous, like that. You should have even people with PCOS anonymous or something, where a lot of women can get together and they can discuss their problems. First of all, knowing that there are many other people who are going through there is a similar issue makes you feel better, in a way that I'm not alone. That feeling is very important. When you feel, let's just say I'm a girl in a class and I'm the only one who has facial hair, or I'm the only one who is looking bigger than other people relatively, I'll have body image issues. But when I'm seeing a lot more women, who are doing amazing for themselves, looking a certain way, that itself makes me, feel better. So psychologically, you're set already there. Once you're psychologically hopeful and optimistic, I think the road is going to be much smoother than other people.
I agree upon it. So you just talked about we need more like social upbringing like that. It could be generalized in our society. So I do completely understand upon that, and the example you gave कि class में जितने भी लोग हैं they should be okay with the girl having facial hair. So I
Yes.
have a little dusky skin. So I actually can compare with what they go through. So as you just said, it takes a lot of time to be okay with it. And a society is such which do not let us be okay. So I am very okay and very confident with my color. But whenever we go to a salon, we are painted like you have some problem. So we have a very little problem. So image and what we say is PCOD and color. That's totally opposite, but still we can relate to them. Okay. Thank you so much, doctor. If anyone have a question, the chat box, or you can just switch on your audios. Okay. So, doctor, what about the mood swings? So they have like this adverse mood swings, and we talk to them like every 2 days, 3 days. So we actually have to take their wrath of mood swings. So how do you deal with them?
Whenever there is any disturbance in the periods, right? So estrogen, progesterone are dysregulated. Understand that estrogen is one of the metabolite. It produces serotonin. So when estrogen is going abnormal, women normally have mood swings for three parts of their life. Not the daily mood swing that we all have. Even men have. Not that. Abnormal mood swings are there seen. One is every month, probably not for every woman. Some women around the periods, 3 to maybe 1 week before the periods, 5 days before the periods. Another time is suddenly when they deliver the child, and third is when they stop having periods. That is menopause. These three areas are the most vulnerable period for any woman in terms of mental health. Now, PCOS is a disease. Other three conditions are normal situations I'm telling you about. So one thing about mood swings is, usually when I'm saying swings, usually suddenly they become low, suddenly they become very cranky or irritable. So when the people are irritable, when they're low, nobody cares. But when they're irritable, everybody, considers it as a problem. So women who are very cranky or irritable, I ask them to be passively aggressive in terms of turn the aggression into something else. Maybe I deal with a group of PCOS women. I tend to um, mm, sometimes talk to all of them at once. I tend to give a little bit of lecture or something like what I'm doing right now. I tell them, you all are feeling angry? They say, yes. Why are you angry? They say that, why do I need to have this disease? Why am I not looking as good as my other friends? Or what if I have infertility issues in the future? Or some people say I don't have any sex drive at all, probably because I don't have any self-esteem. Multiple things. Now I tell them, okay, what are you doing with this anger? They say that nothing. I just sometimes hit myself, or some people actually like cut themselves and things like that. In the severe cases, not everybody. I tell them, oh, why don't all of you get together or with your certain respective group of friends? Why don't you all go play basketball or a volleyball or any other sport? Channeling your aggression into form of exercise will improve your PCOS, also will drain you, exhaust you, and anger will just reduce. That's the way to diffuse your anger. Channeling your aggression into a sport. Why don't you do that is what I say. I mean, for a lot of them it is working. So something like that you can look. But if the mood swings are very erratic, please see a doctor, a good doctor, because some of the mood stabilizers we give can worsen PCOS. So a doctor should be very knowledgeable to before penning down a drug name that shouldn't worsen your condition. Yeah.
So it was not generally for the PCOD and mood swings. It was something for me too. So I do have. Actually, every women have erratic mood swings.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Men also. I think everybody. I think men, women, all human beings, we have mood swings.
We have been talked more that we have more mood swings. So yeah, men with mood swings are never talked about. It's only women who are talked more about the mood swings. I don't know why. I think it's your job to generalize it that men also do have mood swings.
No, men have a lot of mood swings. It's just that men are trained to only show their anger, not the lowest side. So that's the reason why we look at men as short-tempered people rather than someone with mood swings. So I mean,
Okay.
I do get men as mood swings.
Okay. So we are opening the question box for just 1 minute. If anyone have a question, they can just ask, or we just going to thank the doctor for the session. So I'm not sure that why everyone have not joined. So we're going to just work with the few people we have today. Okay, I'm not sure they have any question. Thank you, doctor. Thank you so much for coming and taking a valuable time for us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. You
Thank you.
guys are doing great job. Keep at
Thank
it.
you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Stay safe. Bye.
Thank you.